Evolution of cybersecurity. By definition, cybersecurity can be defined as the body of technologies, processes and practices designed to protect networks, computers, programs and data from attack, damage or unauthorized access. One of the most challenging elements of cybersecurity is the quickly and constantly evolving nature of security risks. Adam Vincent pronounces the problem. The threat is advancing quicker than we can keep up with it. The threat changes faster than our idea of the risk. It's no longer possible to write a large white paper about the risk to a particular system. You would be rewriting the white paper constantly. Initially, cybersecurity used to be relatively simple. The enterprise network comprised of mainframes, client-server model, closed group of systems, and the attacks were very limited, with viruses, worms and Trojan horses being the major cyber threats. The focus was more towards malware such as virus, worms and Trojans with purpose of causing damage to the systems. It started with virus which needed to be executed in order to cause a malfunction or damage to the system. As this was something where manual intervention was required for propagation, a new type of malware came into existence, that is, worms similar to virus but with self-replicating feature, that is, they do not require a human intervention or a program to execute. These cyber threats randomly targeted computers directly connected to the internet but posed little threat. Within the enterprise networks with firewalls on the perimeter and antivirus protection on the inside, the enterprise appeared to be protected and relatively safe. Occasionally an incident would occur and security teams would fight it. The initial attacking methodology was attacking the infrastructure. This involved the traditional approach of compromising the systems by getting inside the network through loopholes such as open ports, unknown services, and exploiting system-related vulnerabilities in the infrastructure. At this time, the offensive teams started to recognize and close these gaps as much as possible, reducing the attack surface. Over a period of time, as the infrastructure changed, the former has been transformed completely into the web applications, web-based layer, clouds, virtualization, mobility, and so on, thus adding greater complexity in the whole development, deployment architecture of applications and infrastructure, and changing the attack surface further as shown in Figure 1. Attackers started getting inside the enterprise networks, and once they were inside they operated in stealthy mode. By attaining access, they controlled the infected machines and managed them through command and control systems, C&C servers. Vulnerable systems were exploited within the enterprise for lateral movement among computers on the network, capturing user credentials and other critical information of more and more users within the organization. The final nail in the coffin was privilege escalation, art to gaining elevated access to the machine, get control of the system's administrator accounts in charge of everything. Once these attackers got administrative control of the enterprise, they were able to do anything they wanted. It was like keys to the kingdom. Cybersecurity attacks evolution over time. Similarly, to the cat and mouse game, or as we have seen in Tom and Jerry, to overcome each other as they used to change the tactics, the very same applies when we talk about attackers versus defenders in cyberspace. Attackers take the advantage of zero-day exploits, vulnerabilities, and so on to compromise the systems, whereas defenders use secure mechanisms such as hardening, patching, segmentation and other security controls to reduce the surface attack. This way the enterprise is locked down up to a certain extent, thus reducing the attack surface. For the attackers with less threat surface to attack due to the lockdown, the only possibility seen by them towards a breach lies in web application. Before we begin, let us have a basic understanding of web applications. A web application or web app is a software application in which the client, or user interface, runs in a browser. Common web applications include webmail, online retail sales, online auctions, wikis, instant messaging services and many other functions. For organizations, whether they are a private entity or government, to conduct business online, it has to provide services to the outside world. Over a period or so, the web has been embraced by millions of businesses as an inexpensive medium to communicate and exchange information with customers. Therefore, they are vital to businesses for expanding their online presence, thus fashioning long-term and beneficial relationships with customers. There is no doubt in saying that web applications have become such a universal phenomenon over a period of time. Web applications are convoluted and multifarious in nature, and due to this behavior, they are widely mysterious and completely misinterpreted. Regardless of the advantages, web applications do raise a number of security concerns. Severe weaknesses or vulnerabilities allow hackers to gain direct and public access to databases in order to extract sensitive data. Many of these databases contain critical information, personal, official, financial details, etc., making them a frequent target of hackers. Although defacing corporate websites are still commonplace, nowadays, hackers prefer gaining access to the sensitive data residing on the database server because of the immense payoffs in selling the data. The greater complexity, including the web application code and underlying business logic, and their potential as a vector to sensitive data in storage, or in process, makes web application servers an obvious target for attackers. In Figure 2, it is easy to see how a hacker can quickly access the data on the database through creativity and negligence or human error, leading to vulnerabilities in the web applications. How an attacker exploits a web application. As mentioned, websites use databases to store and fetch the required information to the users. If a web application is vulnerable, that is, it can be exploited by the attackers, then the database associated with the web application is at serious risk, as it contains all the critical information that the attackers are looking for. Recent research shows that 75% of cyber attacks are done at web application level. Web application vulnerabilities have drastically increased over the past few years, as companies demand faster web application releases to fulfill the end-user requirements. Vulnerabilities associated with web applications are risky for organizations as they endanger not only brand and reputational damage but also loss of data, legal action and financial penalties associated with these incidents. The outcomes continue to confirm the majority understanding that the web application vector is a foremost and less protected path for attackers. Web application scene is altering continuously over time. Evolution of web layer has enhanced rich experiences and functionalities directly within/from the browser. As a result of this flexibility and scalability that web applications provide, web applications and web services are rapidly replacing the legacy applications, and, as a result, broadening the surface attack, which increases attackers' chances of exploitation, primarily since traditional network layer security controls such as firewalls and signature-based intrusion prevention and detection systems, IPS/IDS, have little or no role to play in detecting and preventing an attack occurring via the web application. In the past few years, the trend has played out in more breaches hitting the headlines. Some of the cyber attacks that shock the IT world include the following. Rsa Secure Id Breach, year 2011. In 2011, RSA's enterprise was breached and the security keys for many of its customers were believed to have been stolen. This breach prompted RSA to replace millions of its Secure ID tokens to restore security for its customers. Colombian Independence Day attack, year 2013. In 2013, a large-scale cyber attack held on 20th of July, Colombian Independence Day, against 30 Colombian government websites. As the most successful single-day cyber attack against a government, most websites were either defaced or shut down completely for the entire day of the attack. Attacks included both web and network vectors, including web application and network distributed denial of service, DDoS, attacks. eBay data breach, year 2014. eBay went down in a blaze of embarrassment as it suffered this year's biggest hack so far. In May 2014, eBay revealed that hackers had managed to steal personal records of 233 million users. Sony Picture Entertainment, year 2014. On November 25, 2014, something new happened in the history of data theft activity. A group calling itself GOP or the Guardians of Peace hacked into Sony Pictures, causing severe damage to the network for days and leaked confidential data. The data included personal information about employees and their families, emails and copies of then unreleased Sony films and other information. Dyn cyber attack, year 2016. The largest cyber attack in recorded history happened on October 21, 2016, causing temporary shutdown of websites such as Twitter, Netflix, Airbnb, Reddit and SoundCloud.